If you ever felt like no matter how much you work out or how healthy you eat, your body just won't change, keep watching because I've been exactly where you are. I struggled for 12 years trying to get into my dream shape by doing everything right. Eating clean, exercising, and cutting calories. But I wasn't seeing the results I wanted. My body was puffy, my belly was bloated, and I wasn't as toned as I wanted to be. I couldn't understand how can this be when I'm being this healthy and I'm doing everything right. Until I finally figured it out and got into my dream shape after I stopped doing these 5 healthy habits that were ruining my fat loss and might be ruining yours too. In this video, I'll be sharing with you these 5 healthy habits that were keeping me fat and what to do instead so you can too finally see the results you want. And make sure to watch the entire video to not miss anything important. Let's get into it. The first healthy habit that was keeping me from my dream body felt healthy and empowering too, but was secretly sabotaging my fat loss for years. I mean, isn't it logical that if you push harder and sweat more, you should be losing more fat? But I wasn't. I pushed myself hard in hope to lose fat by doing gym, doing cardio, running for kilometers, and doing HIIT, which is scientifically proven to be a really efficient form of exercise, especially to burn fat. But I was getting just puffier, so I pushed even harder until my body said no. Pushing myself this hard, I didn't realize that I was overtraining. That's why I wasn't losing fat. And this is a mistake many people do. When your body is overtrained, you can't really lose fat. And to me, this just didn't make sense. Because isn't it that the more you exercise, the more you sport, the more you should be losing fat? But it's not this simple. So to start seeing results again, I had to stop training for a while to recover. Especially, I had to stop with high intensity. But since I was so used to working out and moving my body, I couldn't just sit at home and do nothing. So I started taking long 1-hour walks. And this is when the magic happened. So here's the thing. My problem was that I was doing way too much high intensity workouts, too much cardio for way too long. And once I replaced my 10-kilometer runs with 1-hour walks, my God, I could not believe it. But my body actually started leaning out with doing less and enjoying it too. Replacing high intensity with low intensity has changed my body composition so much. But high intensity workouts weren't the only thing standing in my way to losing fat and getting toned, which brings me to my second healthy habit that was keeping me fat. And I didn't expect this one to make such a difference, but it changed everything. By now, I think all of you have heard this popular fitness advice that if you want to get fit, you need to lift weights because lifting weights helps you to build muscle, which helps you to burn fat, which is scientifically proven. And if you're afraid to lift weights, don't be, because for women, it's not possible to get bulky. Also, by the way, proven by science. Lifting weights made my body actually look worse. Because there is one detail no one really talks about, and once I figured this out, everything changed. So here's the thing. Of course, you need some muscle in your body, but not every woman wants to have like muscle. Some women just want to lose fat and tone up. I don't know how to explain it, but look, this woman and this woman have completely different bodies. Yes, they're both fit, I'm not gonna argue that, but they're different. And I wanted to look like this. And everyone, the internet and my personal trainer kept telling me that the path to this type of body is by lifting weights. So I started lifting weights, but I wasn't really liking what I was starting to see in the mirror, and deep down I knew that this wasn't it. However, I kept lifting because I didn't know what else to do. I will do 100-kilo leg press thinking that if I lift heavier, I will be burning more fat, and that way I get quicker to my dream body. But nope, my thighs started getting bigger, more muscular, bulkier, and in general, my entire body was getting more puffy and more swollen. Basically, completely the opposite of what I wanted. So I started losing hope, and I started thinking that perhaps my body is just not built this way, and I don't have the genetics to look the way I want to look. As a result, I quit the gym because I wasn't getting the results I wanted, and then Corona came and everything, so I started working out at home. I started doing Pilates workouts, different body weight workouts, and just with smaller weights, just at home. I wasn't expecting anything because I was so sick and tired of everything, and I kind of accepted that I will just never be able to get the body that I want to get. But after about 1 year, my friends started commenting on me that, whoa, haven't you lost a lot of weight? And I didn't even realize this myself because I just didn't care anymore at this point. But then I saw some before and after pictures of myself, and then I was like, what the f? My face went from round to snatched, and my body composition had totally changed. But what's even more interesting is that my body weight on the scale had barely changed. So here's my epiphany. Some girls and women don't get this type of body by lifting weights. And I think I even figured out which type of woman. I believe it has to do with your body type. There are 3 different body types, and the 2 latter ones, I'm the middle one, can get a bit bulkier with lifting weights. And the first one will benefit from lifting weights because for them it's in general harder to put on weight. So if you've been lifting weights and you feel like your body is just getting bulkier, but your goal is this, then Pilates, body weight, and small weights might be your answer. At least it worked for me. But replacing weightlifting with Pilates and body weights wasn't the only thing I did during that year when my body composition just totally changed. Which brings me to the third healthy habit that was keeping me from my dream body. Every fitness pro tells us that if you want to be fit, you want to be toned and lose fat, tracking macros is super important. So I had a period where I was so focused on tracking macros. I was thinking about them all the time, making sure I meet my daily requirements, but I wasn't seeing results. So during this year when I was doing home workouts and I didn't care anymore because I was so frustrated, I also quit tracking macros because I hated it and it occupied too much of my brain space and it wasn't even working for me. So I just quit it and I ate whatever I wanted whenever I wanted. Basically, I was eating intuitively and boom, this works for me. So if this is your goal, replacing tracking macros with intuitive eating could work for you too. And if you're afraid that when you start eating intuitive, you will just eat everything you're craving for, you won't. When I used to track my macros, I used to always have so many different cravings. I used to crave for chocolate, ice cream, cake, and all that kind of stuff. But when I started eating intuitive, I stopped having cravings. This works because when you start eating intuitive, you're allowing yourself to eat whatever you want. Whereas when you track your macros, you tend to limit yourself more because you have certain daily macro requirements that you need to meet. But when you're limiting yourself, you crave it more. And when you start eating intuitive, you stop limiting yourself. And now all you're craving for is just available to you. Just go and get it whenever you want, whatever you want. So this does a psychological trick that you don't even want it anymore. It's like reverse psychology. At least for me, it works this way. And I notice that I crave so much less of these bad foods. And when I do, I just eat them because eating chocolate, ice cream, or a cake once in a while won't do you harm. Which brings me to the fourth healthy habit that I got wrong. And this has made my life so much more enjoyable on all levels. So here's the thing. You've probably heard that certain foods make you fat. Eating bread will make you fat, eating butter will make you fat, eating eggs will make you fat, or bananas, or something else. They come up with new foods that make you fat every week. And I was so on this. I used to limit certain foods or certain food groups. It varied from dairy to wheat to fruits or from carbs to fats. I thought I was being healthy, but yet I was constantly bloated. I had different stomach issues. I had pain almost every day, and I couldn't really understand what was even triggering it. Plus, excluding certain foods or food groups didn't seem to do a difference fat loss wise. But during this time when I started to eat intuitive because I wasn't really caring about anything, because I was so tired of everything, I noticed that it actually had a beneficial effect. First of all, it reduced my cravings, like I already mentioned earlier. But second, I feel like when I stopped dieting and limiting certain foods or food groups, unless there is an actual reason for it, because of an allergy, intolerance, or other health reasons, my stomach issues went away. I stopped being bloated and it improved my overall relationship with food, which brings me to the fifth healthy habit that was keeping me from getting my dream body. To lose fat and tone up, we often get told to go into a calorie deficit. But this advice made me fat. I trained hard and kept cutting calories because I was thinking logically. If I push harder and eat less, I'll lose fat and tone up quicker. But the results weren't adding up to my logical thinking. Instead of getting fitter, I got fatter because I didn't eat enough, which got my body into fight or flight mode. Turns out that if you move more, you need to eat more to get fit, not cut more. This is because your body has a basal metabolic rate, which means that those are calories you simply need daily from just existing, and then we add the daily activity you have and then other body's functions that come to play, especially for females. And with dieting, you can quickly end up under eating. But when you under eat for too long, your body starts to see it as an emergency. So everything you put down your throat, be it even a cucumber, it starts to store as fat for survival reasons. This lovely feature comes from hunter-collector times. Cutting more calories works only to a certain extent, then your body will just shut down, or you hit a weight loss plateau. I don't know. So here's the thing. You gotta fuel yourself properly to burn more fat. Losing fat, getting toned, and staying that way is a lifestyle, not a short-term diet. And here's why I love intuitive eating, because once you develop that connection with your body, it literally tells you when to eat, what to eat, and how much. Your body is designed to give you signals on when you're hungry and when you're full, which means that when you're hungry, eat, and when you start to feel full, stop eating. Don't stuff yourself, because you don't need to feel physically full every time when you're eating. That way you can never really overeat, but also you avoid undereating if you're also listening to your body's signals that, hey, now I'm hungry and I want food, and you give your body that food. So if you're afraid of intuitive eating because you're afraid that this will get you fat, as long as you're listening to your body's signals and 80% of the time you're eating healthy, which is like just home cooked normal healthy food, it doesn't need to be something complicated like chia seeds or some ginger fat loss shot in the morning. Unless you of course like these things, then it's totally fine. Then it's really not possible to get fat. Of course, if you are a pro athlete or bodybuilder, then maybe intuitive eating might not be the most convenient one. But if you're just a normal person trying to tone up, then I really speak for intuitive eating. But of course, everyone finds what works for them. I did this too. In fact, I wasted 12 years trying to get my dream body. I followed many different fitness advices, but nothing really worked for me, although I was doing everything right. Until I then finally cracked the code and lost fat and got my dream body after trying for so many years. Now looking back, I realized that I made certain mistakes that kept me fat because I used to follow that popular fitness advice, but actually it just ended up ruining my health and my body, and therefore I couldn't lose fat. And that could be your case too. I gathered my 12 years of fat loss experience into this one video. So if you want to know how fitness might be making you fat and how to actually get fit, watch this video.